Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our regular meeting of council. I'd like to start with the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we live, work, and gather on the traditional and unceded territory of the Algonquin people, specifically the Temiskaming First Nation. We recognize the presence of the Temiskaming First Nation in our community since time immemorial and honor their long history of welcoming many nations to this beautiful territory and uphold and uplift their voice and values. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Good evening, Your Worship. All members of council are present with the exception of Councillor Melanie Ducharme, and we'll note that Conseillère Nadia Pelletier-Living is joining virtually this evening.
Thank you. Brings us to item 3, review of revisions or deletions to the agenda. Seeing none, takes us to item 4, approval of the agenda. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that City Council approves the agenda as printed. Can I get a mover, please? And the seconder? Moved by Councillor Dawson, seconded by Councillor Wilson. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest in general nature? Seeing none. Item 6, we have no public meetings pursuant to the Planning Act, Municipal Act, and other statutes. Takes us to item 7, review and adoption of council minutes. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that City Council approves the minutes of the City of Temiskaming Shores Council and Committee of the Whole meetings as printed for A, the regular council meeting minutes held on October the 21st, 2025, and B, the Committee of the Whole meeting minutes held on November the 4th, 2025. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Braden. Seconded by Councillor Wayland. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. It takes us to item 8, presentations and delegations. And we have Shervin, with us tonight. He's the PMP manager for fleet decarbonization planning with WSP Canada Inc., and he's going to give us a presentation on the municipal green fleet strategy. So Shervin, I know he's online. The floor is yours, my friend.
Appreciate that. Good evening, Mayor and members of Council. Thank you for the opportunity to present the Green Fleet strategy that WSP has developed for the City of Temiskaming Shores. Working closely with city staff over the course of this study, we have developed a practical roadmap for reducing greenhouse gas emission from the municipal fleet while maintaining the operational efficiency your community depends on. Next slide, please. For this presentation, I'll walk you through 8 key items that you can see on this screen, starting with goals and objectives, examination of the current state of the fleet, baseline emission data, transition scenarios we have developed, the financial analysis, projected GHG reduction, our recommendations, and finally the next step for implementation. With that, we can begin with the first item. Next slide, please. Goals and objectives. Next slide, please. WSP was engaged to assess the city's fleet and identify practical ways to reduce emissions through different approaches. The primary outcome is a green fleet strategy with clear recommendations to help the city reach carbon neutrality by 2050. The strategy supports the city's corporate GHG reduction plan target of net zero by 2050 with an interim goal of 40% below 2019 level by 2033, which is just 8 years away. Next slide, please. Current state of the fleet, which is the first step in our study. Next slide, please. The city, as you can see on the screen and the charts and the data, as you can see, the city operates 52 vehicles, primarily supporting public works. Light-duty vehicles are the larger segment, medium-duty the smallest, with just 2 units. Ownership is mixed 75% of the fleet owned by the city, 25% is leased through enterprise. The leasing partnership helps with the cost and access to newer technologies. The fleet is relatively young, and the bar chart on the right-hand side kind of shows the distribution of the fleet and their ages. So the median age, as we can see, is about 6 years. However, some of the specialized equipment, like fire rescue vehicles, are significantly older and will need attention in the transition planning. Next slide, please. Utilization is another item under current state, and when we looked at the fleet of Temiskaming Shore as of today, the chart shows annual kilometers by vehicle type, the pie chart on the left-hand side. Transit vehicles are most utilized, about 44% of total distance at over 51,000 kilometers annually. This makes transit a high priority for emission reduction. Plow trucks, pickups, and SUVs are next highest. Emergency vehicles show lower mileage due to standby time requirements, so utilization is measured through either distance or the time or duration of the operation. So these patterns informed our replacement priorities when it came to transition plan. Next slide, please. Baseline data and emission. Next slide, please. So this essentially kind of maps out the GHG emission of the fleet as of today. So the pie chart breaks down emission by vehicle category. Heavy-duty vehicles and transit accounts for the majority of emission, despite being fewer in the numbers. They simply consume more fuel per kilometers. The line graph, the bar graph on the right-hand side, kind of projects emissions through 2050 under a baseline scenario with no changes. Emissions would drop from 975 tons in 2025 to about 747 tons by 2050. So it will have some reductions in terms of emission, even continuing with the fleet, with the current technology, diesel, gasoline. However, this natural reduction won't meet the 2033 or 2050 targets. That's why an active transition strategy is needed. Next slide, please. Next, we're going to look at the transition scenarios, what they mean, what are the approaches. So proposed approach, as you can see on the slide, this strategy is designed to be agile, reviewed every 5 years to adapt to technology changes. Technology of zero emission and alternative fuel technologies frequently change. So the timeline shows two pathways, as you can see. First pilot phase, which takes place from 2025 to 2030, it starts with light duty vehicles and leased assets. These are easiest to transition, easiest to replace with battery electric vehicles. This phase builds experience with the electric technology and tests real-world performance before larger investments. After 2030, however, two possible pathways based on market review results can be seen. The reduced emission, which is also called conservative adoption at the bottom of this page, uses only proven technologies available today. So as of today, we looked at which technologies, light duty, medium duty, heavy duty, different categories, which one of them are available today. It won't achieve zero emission by, but it does reduce them significantly. Think of this as a conservative adoption backup plan. The other approach that is highlighted in red towards zero emission pathway assumes technology continues advancing as expected. It has been advancing for the last 10-15 years. It does assume that it will continue to advance, which means better batteries, larger batteries, longer ranges, more vehicle options, etc., etc. So the 2030 market review confirms which assets can follow this path. So the key point or key takeaway from this is if technology doesn't advance as expected for certain vehicles, the city follows the reduced emission pathway for those assets. This prospect against protects against risk while still pursuing ambitious goals. Next slide, please. In transition planning, an important factor is uptake rate or technology adoption. This chart on this slide shows projected adoption rates by vehicle category over time. Light-duty vehicles lead with higher adoption by 2030. Emergency vehicles follow a gradual curve into 2040s. This reflects both market readiness and a specialized requirement of different vehicle types. Next slide, please. We're going to look at the financial analysis, which is a very thorough topic. In the interest of time, we're going to keep it short. This table on this screen compares total cost of ownership between current fleet and zero-emission transition. Instead of going through all the numbers that you can see, essentially it looks at business as usual and zero-emission in the zero-emission pathway. The main findings is that electric vehicles have higher upfront costs but deliver significant saving in fuel and maintenance over their lifetime. So as in long term, you'll be saving cost from maintenance, from fueling, etc., etc. Federal incentives, it's very important to say that federal incentives for vehicles and charging infrastructure can substantially reduce capital costs, especially in early phases. Next slide, please. And most importantly, GHG emissions. Next slide, please. The chart here essentially compares the GHG emission on an annual basis between BAU and zero-emission pathway. It shows projected emissions under our recommended pathways. By 2033, 44% reduction from 2019 level. It exceeds the 40% interim target. By 2050, 99% reduction, effectively reaching carbon neutrality for the fleet. These results demonstrate the targets are achievable with this strategy. Next slide, please. Our recommendations. Next slide, please. Agile green fleet strategy in near term. Our core recommendation is an agile strategy. What that means, so flexible, being flexible to technology shifts and market changes, not a rigid 25 or 30-year schedule. The key elements, as you can see on the screen, is market review every 3 to 5 years to track technology and prices. Continuous pilots, testing vehicles in Temiskaming shores condition, especially winter, the road condition, the operation. Near-term focus on light-duty vehicles for fastest GHG reduction toward 2033. And lastly, selective asset extension, maximum 2 to 3 years past normal replacement if electric alternative isn't proven yet. Next slide, please. What happens to the non-electrifiable assets as of today? So some operation challenge currently battery technology. We have identified 4 strategies. Larger battery, for example, or I can start with duty cycle redesign, split routes to allow midday charging. They're very important to top up the battery during the operation. Larger battery for battery electric vehicles within the same weight class. If there are larger batteries available and the operation is intensive, it would be helpful. Complex charging infrastructure, higher power at depot or en route charging stations would be significantly helpful. Lastly, additional battery electric vehicles. 2 electric vehicles sometimes may be needed to cover one intensive task for one vehicle. These all add cost, but keep net zero achievable for demanding applications. Next slide, please. Infrastructure and long-term readiness. Infrastructure has longest lead time. There are some recommendations around that. For example, start electrical upgrades now. Panels, cables, distribution boards. Some of the upgrades could be taken place today. Order chargers 1 year before vehicle deployment. As we can see, receiving the equipment from the OEMs could take more than 1 year. So think about that in advance, and purchasing would be essential. Build-in redundancy for reliability, prioritize infrastructure-ready sites for quick wins, secure federal incentive while available, and for the long term, invest in a staff training and monitoring system for data-driven adjustment. Next slide, please. what are the next steps as we recommend? So 3 immediate actions, as you can see: pilot projects, very important. Launch light-duty electric vehicle pilots, tests in various conditions, including winter. Learning is a great part of this exercise, and they will help with future decisions. Stakeholder engagement, involve departments, operators, and council, and even utilities. Success depends on the buy-ins from every stakeholder. Monitoring and reporting, track progress and update the strategy every 3 to 5 years. This positions the city to meet climate commitments while maintaining reliable fleet services. And the last slide, on behalf of WSP, I just wanted to take a moment to thank you for your time and attention. It's been a pleasure working with the city staff on this study. Now I'm happy to take any question from the council.
Thanks so much for your presentation, Shervin. Does anybody have any questions for Shervin? Go ahead, Councillor Wayland.
Yeah, thanks very much for the presentation. I just got a couple of issues here. The first one being, did you also take a look at our field equipment, you know, our parks and recreations equipment and stuff like that?
Yes, the equipments were included in the data and the study.
Okay. I'm not opposed to electrification. In fact, I've electrified all of my own outdoor equipment. I think I get better results than I was getting with my gas-powered. But when it comes to motor vehicles, every major manufacturer has had massive recalls. They're telling their owners to only charge to 80%, and some of these recalls have lasted for 2 years. Some have told their owners not to park outside, which would not be a good thing for our fire service. So I'm just wondering, has the Insurance Institute provided any recommendations on going this route?
Sorry, what was the question at the end? The insurance? I didn't catch that. Apologies.
Yeah, well, most of the major manufacturers, I have family that have electric vehicles, they're told don't park them in your garage and only charge them to 80%. In the case of our fire service, all of our equipment is stored indoors. So if we go fully electric, do we have to up our insurance? Have you investigated any of that, or?
Right. That's actually a great point. I don't think there is any doubt that with new technologies such as battery electric vehicles, there is a learning curve. The charging of the vehicles are essentially, one of those factors. There are some best practices, for example, to keep the batteries between 20% and 80%. That really helps with the longevity of the batteries and the lifespan of the vehicles. There are also some best practices with the safety. So in terms of where to park the vehicles, the fire safety is an important topic today, and there are best practices to be followed. I do know that insurance is not has not been part of this study. However, I know that the OEMs provide some information about potential risks and what warranty or guarantees are covering for the vehicles or the chargers.
Okay, I know some of the recalls from the manufacturers, the insurance tell you that if the recall says don't park it in your garage and you do and the garage burns down, there's some argument over whether or not you're covered. So I'd just like more clarification on that, but thanks very much.
Absolutely. Thank you for your question.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Councilor Graydon.
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks for the presentation. I apologize if you covered this and I missed it. I know when we first started talking about this, we talked about other, not just electrification, but other fuel choices. Let's say. I'm wondering if the gradual transition, with electrification being the end goal, are we looking at any other fuel types that may reduce our greenhouse gas emissions in the meantime? that might be a question here too, I'm not sure.
Absolutely, and that's the reason that we looked at two approaches, and essentially, the progress with the technology needs to be monitored over the years, over the next 5 years. We have looked at other alternative fuel technologies for this study. However, given that the zero emission target was the main focus, and the reason that we looked at it towards zero emission approach was to kind of mainly look at the battery electric vehicles. But in the report and the study that we completed, we also looked at other technologies and other alternative fuel technologies.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, once again, Sherman, I just want to say thank you so much for your presentation. We appreciate it. We'll have a look at the recommendations and see where we go from here. So thanks again.
Thank you, Mayor.
This takes us to item 9, correspondence and communication. So 9A from the Pavilion Women's Center, read a request for land donation for 55 Meridian Avenue, and that was received, referred to the clerk to process in accordance with the city's disposition of land bylaw number 2015-160. B, the Northwestern Ontario Municipal Association and the Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities, and read the federal support of cap paper, and that was received for information. C, McMaster, Western, and Acadia Universities and One Light Diversity Center, read the shifting grounds, understanding recent inter-regional migration to the Maritimes and Northern Ontario, that was received for information. D, from the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Canada, read the Bail and Sentencing Reform Act, that was received for information. E, the Town of Brantford, West of Gwillimbury, read the removing of GST from new homes to support housing affordability, that was received for information. F, from the Northern Ontario School of Medicine, the 2025 Endowment Report, that was received for information. G, from Lisa Vandermeer, read a resignation from the New Liskeard Business Improvement Area Board of Management, and that was, we accept the resignation letter as submitted and extends thanks and appreciation to Lisa Vandermeer for her service on the board. And I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that City Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores agrees to deal with communication items 9A through 9G in accordance with the agenda of references. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Dawson, seconded by Councillor Wilson. Discussion? So we do have a resolution in front of us. All in favor? And that motion is carried. Takes us to item 10, Committees of Council, Community and Regional. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that the minutes from the various community and regional committees of council be accepted for information. A, from the Temiskaming Shores Public Library meeting minutes held on June the 4th, 2025. B, the Northeastern Public Board of Health meeting minutes held on September the 25th, 2025. And C, the New Liskeard Business Improvement Area Board of Management meeting minutes held on November the 10th, 2025. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Graydon. Seconded by Councillor Wayland. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. It takes us to item 11, reports by members of council. Councillor Wayland?
Yeah, quickly, Mayor, we had a meeting of the Temiskaming Municipal Association. There was a couple of items of interest to this council that we've dealt with in the past. We had a presentation from our new Member of Parliament, Pauline Rochford. It was interesting. She's got some big plans, so hopefully she can pull some of them off for us. We had a presentation by the Office of the Fire Marshal, Brian Mackey and Keith Wells, regarding firefighter training. It was of great interest to the smaller municipalities that, are now in touch with the I know Steve's very active in representing his firefighters, but some of the smaller services don't always have that opportunity, so bringing them into TMA was a big bonus for them. TMA has requested that the Minister of Natural Resources reconsider the use of glyphosate. And TMA discussed the issue of the automated speed enforcement, speed cameras. They support, the city of Temiskaming Shores, town of Kirkland Lake, because they do have school zones, but the vast majority of members don't. So we have their support for the continuation of speed cameras, even though they're now banned, but there were just a few items of interest from the meeting that I thought council might be interested in.
Thanks, Councillor Whalen. Any others? Councillor Wilson?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I apologize, I was unable to make the last council meeting because of an emergency situation and wasn't able to attend. And at that meeting, I had the intention of talking a little bit about and giving congratulations to Councillor Whalen, and I know for his term as president of FNUM, and I know, Mayor, you spoke about that briefly as well, and so I just wanted to take this opportunity to congratulate and thank Councillor Whalen for his 15 years of service on the board, the Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities, the last 8 years as president, and as president of FNUM, Councillor Whalen played an integral part in advancing the interests of Northern Ontario at the AMO table and at Queen's Park. He's been the driving force behind many important initiatives, including the establishment of NORDS funding, the availability of satellite internet in the north, and the Go North video series, among others. He's also been a strong advocate for bail reform and road safety. He's always been a strong, steady, and trusted voice for Northerners, as well as an important resource and advisor to many provincial ministers. And also on a more personal note, I must also recognize Councillor Whalen for his important contribution to the Going the Extra Mile for Safety Committee for the 2+1 Highway project. And without his advocacy as president of FNUM, we would not be where we are today on that project. His leadership as the co-chair of the Northern Ontario Transportation Task Force is also a pivotal step in the efforts to make our highways safer. I've always appreciated Councillor Whalen's advice and guidance on moving the road safety file forward, and on behalf of Northerners, thank you, Councillor Whalen, for your important work as president of FNUM. It's much appreciated. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Wilson. Any other comments? Okay, I just wanted to take this opportunity. This year, the Municipal Information Systems Association of Ontario introduced the Luminary Award to recognize exceptional achievement in municipal technology and digital transformation. The award celebrates impactful contributions in areas such as infrastructure, cybersecurity, systems and data architecture, automation, and digital transformation. The first Luminary Awards were presented at the 2025 MESA Ontario InfoSec Conference on October the 28th. Brad Hurd, Information Technology Manager, was honored for his leadership in the ICON Special Interest Group. Brad played a pivotal role in helping municipalities migrate from outdated and insecure hardware to supported virtual systems. His work supported a province-wide mandate, improved security, and fosters significant collaboration with provincial partners. Congratulations to Brad Hurd on being one of the inaugural Luminary Award recipients. So congratulations. I know he's slipped away because he knew this was happening, so but that just speaks, to Brad, and I think it's, it really speaks to, a number of folks sit on a number of different boards, and the contributions they make don't always get recognized, but I think when we do have the opportunity, I think we really do need to take the time to say thank you. As well, earlier today, Enbridge, made a donation, and I just thought, might be a good opportunity. We had a photo op a little bit earlier, but Steve, maybe if you could just share a little bit about the partnership with Enbridge.
Thank you, Mayor LaFleur. Yes, earlier we had a presentation. Enbridge Gas, in partnership with the Fire Marshal's Public Fire Safety Council, run a program called Safe Community Project Zero. And this year, 75 municipalities throughout the province of Ontario were part of a 14,000 smoke alarm giveaway. Here in Temiskaming Shores, we received 150 combination smoke alarm CO alarms. They will roll right into our Alarm for Life program. The last time we received alarms for this program, we received 156 alarms, and we're able to install alarms in 80 homes. And these are for our vulnerable occupants, our seniors, our less fortunate. It's a fantastic program, and Enbridge should be commended on their generosity. I think over the last 17 years, 115,000 smoke alarms have been distributed. So it's a fantastic program.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Steve. Appreciate that. Any last comments before we move on? Okay, thanks. Takes us to item 12, notice of motions. Seeing none. So on to item 13, new business. A, the town of Kirkland Lake, letter supporting Ontario's colleges to strengthen our economy and protect Ontario. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores hereby supports the Mayor sending a letter on behalf of Council to the Government of Ontario expressing strong support for Ontario's public colleges and advocating for a fair, predictable, and sustainable post-secondary funding model to ensure colleges like Northern College can continue to deliver career-ready training that meets the needs of local communities and industry. Can I get a mover, please? It's Councillor Wilson. Seconded by Councillor Dawson. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. Takes us to item B, Township of Kirkland Lake, resolution of support for Northern College, Kirkland Lake campus. I do have a resolution in front of me. Whereas access to post-secondary education is a cornerstone of community development and economic growth and social well-being, and whereas community colleges create local opportunities for youth, adult learners, and newcomers seeking further education, skills training, and career advancement, and whereas education is fundamental to the prosperity and sustainability of our municipality, and whereas the presence of a college will provide residents with increased opportunities for academic, vocational training, support local businesses through workforce development, and enhance the attractiveness of our community to families and employers. Therefore, be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores formally recognizes the positive contributions to the economic development of Northern College, and further, that Council supports the presence of Northern College in our community and advocate for future funding streams for community colleges. And finally, that a copy of this motion be forwarded to the Chief Executive Officer of Northern College, the Ministers of Colleges, Universities, Research Excellence and Security, Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade, Energy and Mines, Labor, Immigration, Training and Skills Development, the MP for Cochrane-Temiskaming, the MP for Temiskaming-James Bay, the Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities, and all municipalities within the District of Temiskaming. Can I get a mover, please? It's Councillor Graydon. Second by Councillor Whalen. Can I get a seconder to that motion? Thanks, Councillor Whalen. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. Takes us to item C. Councillor Mark Wilson's notice of motion, safety cameras. And I do have a resolution in front of me. And once again, I'll read this on behalf of Mark. I'm just kidding, Mark. Thanks. Whereas the Ontario government has announced its intention to ban safe speed cameras from communities across Ontario, and whereas speeding is one of the leading causes of serious crashes in Ontario, And whereas vehicular crashes are the #1 cause of injury-related death of children in Canada, and whereas a pedestrian hit by a vehicle traveling 30 kilometers an hour has a 90% chance of survival, while a pedestrian hit at 50 kilometers an hour has only a 20% chance of survival. And whereas studies from Toronto Metropolitan University and Sick Kids indicate significant reductions in speed and injuries in school zones where safe speed cameras are used, and whereas a Canadian Automobile Association survey showed that 73% of Ontario residents support safe speed cameras, and whereas higher vehicle speeds increase both crash likelihood and severity, while slower speeds allow drivers more reaction time and improve the survivability of crashes, and whereas safe speed cameras are an important tool for municipalities to protect their citizens from the harms of drivers exceeding the speed limit while they can continue the work of building safer road infrastructure. And whereas the safety of our roads and streets must be a top priority in Ontario, therefore be it resolved that the City of Temiskaming Shores requests that the Ontario government reverse their intention to ban safe speed cameras in Ontario and continue to allow municipalities to use safe speed cameras to protect their citizens from vehicles traveling at unsafe speeds, and that a copy of this resolution be sent to Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, Pragmeet Sarkaria, Ontario Minister of Transportation, Sylvia Jones, Ontario Minister of Health and Deputy Premier, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, the Rural Ontario Municipalities Association, and all municipalities in Ontario. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Wilson. Seconded by Councillor Graydon. Discussion?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, for reading that a second time. Because again, I apologize for not being here at the meeting, at our last meeting. Yeah, just a quick comment on here. You know, it certainly has been an outcry with municipalities across the province. You know, and the data supports their use. They do make a difference. They do save lives, and they're used successfully in many jurisdictions around the world. And I understand with the resolution, it's unlikely that there'll be a reversal. However, I think it's important that we continue to let the government know that that this move does not follow the data, and it's a move that will likely cause serious injuries and fatalities in our province. And I just wanted to make the point on that. So thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, Councillor Wilson. Any other comments? Okay, we do have a resolution in front of us. All in favor? And that motion is carried. Takes us to item D. Councillor Mark Wilson, notice of motion, elect, respect. I do have a resolution in front of me. Whereas democracy is healthy when everyone can participate fully and safely and contribute to the well-being of their community. And whereas we are witnessing the dissolution of democratic discourse and respectful debate across all levels of government and in neighboring jurisdictions, and whereas Ontario's municipally elected officials are dealing with increasingly hostile, unsafe work environments facing threats and harassment, and whereas social media platforms have exacerbated disrespectful dialogue, negative commentary, and toxic engagement, which disincentivize individuals, especially women and candidates from diverse backgrounds, from running for office. And whereas better decisions are made when democracy is respectful and constructive, and the voices of diverse genders, identities, ethnicities, races, sexual orientation, ages, and abilities are heard and represented around municipal council tables. And whereas the Association of Municipalities of Ontario's Healthy Democracy Project has identified concerning trends with fewer people voting in local elections and running for municipal office. And whereas in 2024, female elected representatives from across Halton formed a group called HER, Halton Elected Representatives, which pledged to speak out against harassment and negativity in politics and call on elected officials to uphold the highest standards of conduct. And whereas HER Halton has launched a campaign called Elect Respect to promote the importance of healthy democracy and safe, inclusive, respectful work environments for all elected officials that encourages individuals to participate in the political process. And whereas on June the 5th, 2025, the Canadian Association of Feminist Parliamentarians launched a nonpartisan parliamentary civility pledge to encourage all parliamentarians to commit to end workplace harassment and increase civility on Parliament Hill, modeled after the pledge developed in Halton by representatives of HER. Therefore, be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores supports the Elect Respect pledge and commits to treat others with respect in all spaces, public, private, and online, reject and call out harassment, abuse, and personal attacks, focus debate on ideas and policies, not personal attacks, help build a supportive culture where people of all backgrounds feel safe to run for and hold office, call on relevant authorities to ensure the protection of elected officials who face abuse or threats, model integrity and respect by holding one another to the highest standards of conduct, and that the City of Temiskaming Shores Council calls on elected officials, organizations, and community members to support the Elect Respect campaign and sign the online pledge at www.electrespect.ca. And further, that a copy of this resolution be sent to the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, Ontario's Big City Mayors, the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, the Office of the Mayor of Burlington, John Vantoff, MPP Temiskaming Cochrane, Pauline Rushford, MP Nipissing Temiskaming, and the Ontario Provincial Police Temiskaming Detachment. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks. Councillor Wilson. Seconded by Councillor Wayland. Discussion?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Once again, thanks for reading that. I've been making you earn your money in the last few meetings, so just a comment on this one. You'll notice in this resolution that it's the Mayor of Burlington is mentioned as a recipient, or to send the resolution to. That's Mary Ann Mead Ward, and she's been a driving force behind this, building on the Halton example and trying to move this Elect Respect campaign further. And I know as we have elections coming up next year, it's important that people feel that they can put their names forward into the municipal ring, and I think this resolution is is a good way to kind of say that we're a community that shows respect, and that I think we want to make sure that others are doing the same, because there certainly are some cases of disrespectful conduct in councils and in municipalities around the province, and it's something we don't want to see happen. So that's what this resolution is all about. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Wilson. Any other comments? Okay, we do have a resolution in front of us. All in favor? The motion is carried. Takes us to item E, Administrative Report, RS-015-2025, the Don Shepperson Memorial Arena Roof Replacement, RFT Award. And I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved, the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of Administrative Report RS-015-2025, and the Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to enter into an agreement with Design Roofing, Inc. for the replacement of the roof at the Don Shepperson Memorial Arena in the amount of $639,000 plus applicable taxes for consideration at the November 18th, 2025 regular council meeting. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Whalen. Discussion. All in favor? That motion is carried. bylaws, resolution number 2025-401. And I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that A, bylaw number 2025-118, being a bylaw to authorize an agreement with Design Roofing, Inc. for the Don Shepherdson Memorial Arena roof replacement. B, bylaw number 2025-119, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with Pedersen Construction 2013, Inc. for the demolition and cleanup of 100 Lakeshore Road North. C, bylaw number 2025-120, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2022-176 to authorize the entering into an agreement with 947-465 Ontario Limited, operating as Voyago, for the provision of public transit services for a 2-year extension. D, bylaw number 2025-121, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2022-177 to authorize the entering into an agreement with 947-465 Ontario Limited, operating as Voyago, for the lease of transit buses for a 2-year extension. E, bylaw number 2025-122, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2022-178 to authorize the entering into a lease agreement with Bumstead Trucking Limited for a portion of the premises known as 41 Golding Street, New Liskeard, for a 2-year extension. F, bylaw number 2025-123, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2015-128 to establish a system for the collection and disposal of garbage, recyclables, and other refuse, amended tipping fees. Item G, bylaw number 2025-124, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with Pedersen Construction 2013, Inc. for the McKelvey Street, Baker Avenue Infrastructure Extension Project. H, bylaw number 2025-125, being a bylaw to enter into a development agreement with FPT Holdings, Inc. to provide the city with financial contribution related to the McKelvey Street, Baker Avenue Infrastructure Extension Project. I, bylaw number 2025-126, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of an agreement with GFL Environmental, Inc. for the collection and processing of recyclables from non-eligible properties, industrial, commercial, institutional establishments from January the 1st, 2026 until December 31st, 2026. Item J, bylaw number 2025-127, being a bylaw to enter into a funding agreement with the Alexa Cornell Memorial Fund for a financial contribution towards the proposed AC-15 pump track. K, bylaw number 2025-128, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2024-124 for the adoption of a council vacancy policy for the city of Temiskaming Shores, strong mayor provisions. L, bylaw number 2025-129, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2014-026 for the adoption of a council code of conduct. And that's also strong mayor provisions. M, bylaw number 2025-130, being a bylaw to delete authority to the chief administrative officer for certain acts during a lame duck period. Item N, bylaw number 2025-131, being a bylaw to establish and appoint members of the Temiskaming District Joint Compliance Audit Committee for the 2026 municipal election under the Municipal Elections Act 1996. O, bylaw number 2025-132, being a bylaw to adopt the Temiskaming District Joint Compliance Audit Committee terms of reference for the 2026 to 2030 term under the Municipal Elections Act 1996. Item P, bylaw number 2025-133, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with the Minister of Employment and Social Development, referred to as the Minister of Jobs and Families, and Minister responsible for the Federal Economic Development Agency for Northern Ontario, for the Northern Ontario Mining Showcase at the 2026 Prospector Developers Association of Canada Annual Convention in Toronto from March the 1st to the 4th, 2026, and that the 2026 Canadian Institute of Mining, Metallurgy and Petroleum Conference in Vancouver, held on May the 3rd to the 6th, 2026, be hereby introduced, given first, second, and third, and final reading, be signed by the Mayor and Clerk, and the corporate seal affixed thereto. Can I get a mover, please? It's Councillor Wilson. Seconded by Councillor Dawson. Discussion? Councillor Dawson?
Just maybe a clarification on the, I guess it's the second bylaw, 118, the cleanup on Lake Shore. I'm assuming we're paying for that now by the reading of the bylaw. I'm just wondering if there's any indication, there's none in the bylaw as to, are we going after the owners of the property, or is there anything being done as far as recovering that cost on behalf of the taxpayer?
Sure. Thanks for that question, Councillor Dawson. Sandy, did you want to answer that?
Yeah, I could speak to that. So, yes, the cost of the cleanup is being covered by the city at this point, and there were timelines given for the property owner to meet the requirements for the cleanup, and so we will be, through the tax levy, adding that to their tax bill.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? So we do have a resolution in front of us. All in favor? And that motion is carried. Takes us to item 15, scheduled council meetings. A, we have a committee of the whole meeting scheduled for December the 2nd, 2025, starting at 3 p.m. And B, we have a regular council meeting scheduled for December the 16th, 2025, starting at 6 p.m. And this takes us to our question and answer period. Is there any questions for council? Seeing none, none online. Thank you. We don't have any closed session today. Takes us to item 18. Confirming bylaw. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-134, being a bylaw to confirm certain proceedings of council of the Corporation of the City of Temiskaming Shores for the Committee of the Whole meeting on November the 4th, 2025, Special Committee of the Whole meeting on November the 18th, 2025, and our regular meeting on November the 18th, 2025, be hereby introduced and given first, second, and third, and final reading, be signed by the Mayor and Clerk, and the corporate seal affixed thereto. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Whalen, second by Councillor Graydon. Discussion? All in favor? The motion is carried. Takes us to item 19, adjournment. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that council hereby adjourns its meeting at 6:52. Can I get a mover, please? It's Councillor Graydon, seconded by Councillor Peltier-Leving. Discussion? All in favor? And our meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful evening.